One thing that I never thought I needed to say until a couple years ago, I'm giving you this yellow sheet so that when I look around, I see that we are all have our yellow sheet. On the AP exam, it will not be a yellow sheet. Like, it won't be yellow. It'll just be in the book with all the rest of the stuff. I had somebody go through the AP exam and say, I didn't see a green sheet, so I didn't have it. And I was like, didn't think I needed to tell you that. So it's not yellow in your AP exam, but it's still there. We're way away from talking about that, but before I forget. Okay, so I'm gonna do like super brief sketches of the ones, and then just say what the answers are, because I think we'll be fine with that. And then stop at the ones that I need to. So what's the first one that y'all did? I think I don't know. 2. Y'all probably can't tell. I did 1, 3, 6, 8. Okay. So 2 should look like 0 to negative 2.07 shaded here. I'll go over some of these more in detail. Your area for 0 is what? 0.5000. Your area for the other one is 0192, and your answer is 0.4808. For number 4, should just look like this with negative 1.43 shaded here. Your answer is what? 0.0764. Correct? That's when you look that one up. That's the same thing because it's shaded to the left.
Because I had it down, but it didn't work.
Yeah. If it's shaded to the left, you just leave it. Okay. Number 5. They're both positive, so they're over here. Shaded between your area. I'm gonna write some of these out. It's yours. 0.79. Your area for 0.79 is 0.7852. 1.28. Your area is 0.8997 for an answer of
0.11.
I'm just going to call it the answers for the next couple because I think they'll be fine with that. Number 7 should be 1 on the left and 1 on the right. Okay, so let's look at the pictures we just drew. For number 2, I never give you a sheet, and I ask you how much of that graph is shaded. You would say what? Generally, how much of that graph is shaded? Number 2. About or less than half. So you should very quickly check all your answers, and when you write down 0.4808, glance at the graph without looking at it and be like, yes, I shaded less than half. With number 4, how much of that graph is shaded? Less than half. So your answer should be less than half. So I'm telling you, this will catch a lot of mistakes. You'd be surprised how many people turn in a quiz, and I hand it back to them and say, does that even make sense? They're like, oh, I didn't even look at it. Get in the habit of checking that early, and it will help you a lot. All right, so number 7, you should have your 2 areas are 0.9932 and 0.1515 for an answer of 0.8417. You have 1 on the left, 1 on the right, you shaded between. And number 9, your line was on the left, you shaded right, which means you shade more than half, so your answer should be more than half. When you look it up, your area is 0.4286, but your answer is 0.5714. Questions? And if you have questions, I need you to ask them now because you don't want to be stuck when I keep going. All right. Now, 10 is a little funny, but not really. Y'all would be fine with it. I might not say anything about it. If I asked you to do number 11, should you have any issues doing that? What do you think the P in the front means? Probability. It says find the probability that, for number 11 in words, what is it saying?
The area.
Find the probability that the area, that the Z is between 0 and 0.67. What does 13 say in words?
The probability that Z is above 2.
So, are these any different than the ones we just did?
No.
No, it's just written a different way. Which means that's probably going to end up being part of your homework. Everybody feels good about what we're doing. So today, with what I just did, we started with I gave you a what to use for your chart. Like the problem had to give you a what when you looked it up on the chart? A Z. Well, we talked about Z's yesterday. What is a Z? Number of standard deviations from the mean. How do I find the Z? Oh, I think I picked it up myself. What's our equation for Z? Value minus mean divided by standard deviation. So now, if we went back a day, could I give you numbers and you find the Z, and then take that Z and put it in the chart now? So we're just basically connecting yesterday and today at this point. And now I'm going out of order on this worksheet because I want to go straight in from the way I just said it. Number 7. You're probably going to need notebook paper to go with this. You need to have out the notebook paper to go along with it. Say it again.
I'm trying to remember it.
Oh, no, flip it up. Like your height kind of thing, like your one individual's value. So number 7 says the average salary for first year teachers is $27,989. Just in that sentence, so I need you to get in the habit of. Oh, I should pull this up. I need to get you in the habit of writing on problems every single time you see it. I'm doing this shorthanded because y'all have it on your paper. This word right here should stand out to you. So I would circle this and use what symbol? What? X bar. Now, again, just like I said yesterday, technically there are times where we should be using mu instead, but I'm not worried about it. If the distribution is approximately normal with, where it has that sigma symbol, put S instead. Put S equals. I want you to put S right there for now. So I've got an X bar, I've got an S. What is the probability? Actually, there's one thing that I missed that was right before that. What did the problem say before it said S or sigma equals? You need to circle, underline, highlight, big star, because approximately normal means, yay, I can use my yellow sheet. Right now, I'm not going to trip you up and try to give you a problem that's not normal if we're only dealing with normal stuff, but you need to get in the habit of that standing out. What is the probability that a randomly selected first-year teacher makes these salaries? So let's write it. I'm going to skip to B. So what do you think the $20,000 a year is supposed to be? If this is my X bar and this is my S, what do you think $20,000 a year is? My value, my X. So let's write it in terms of those, the last problems on the worksheet we just did. So it asks me, what is the probability that? So capital P parentheses in terms of our class means probability of. So what is the probability of, what symbol did we use for value? So what is the probability that our x is, what symbol? Does this look like what I just gave you on the other sheet?
No.
What is different about it?
We did it, what is
This is an x, and our other sheet was what?
C?
So we want to change that. So we're going to change this to a z. Just because it's the first one we're writing, symbols wise, what is our equation for z in symbols? So now we're going to plug our numbers in. What is our x right now? What is our x bar? Divided by? Remember, if you're typing this in a calculator, you gotta do order of operations. Calculator's not only as smart as the person typing numbers in.
And how do we know that the 20,000 whatever is X and not C?
Okay, first of all, what were our units? What are our units for mean? This problem. Dollars. What are our units for standard deviation? Dollars. What are our units for our individual value would also be dollars. Like that's your first obvious thing. Z wipes out all units because it puts it on a standardized scale, so you'll never have units for anything Z. Alright, so type that in. Well, I'm getting a Z. Well, I want my Z in terms of how many decimals? 2. So when I do all this, I get what? 2 point what?
46.
So now I'm going to rewrite this same line in terms of I just switched from my X to my P, my Z, I mean. So now it's P parentheses what? Before that. So I had to convert my X to a Z. This is what my X was. This is my process, so this is what my Z is.
So why are you saying it's less than? I thought you could put the
You
negative.
keep that the same, like this stays.
And
This is telling me I shade left, I'm not going to change.
so I thought the X would turn into the negative 2.46.
That's it in
Oh,
terms of
wait,
Z.
okay. Gotcha.
Now, on a test, quiz, AP exam, if you write something like this, they will count off dramatically because you're saying you don't know the difference between X and a Z. Now, do I expect you to be like concrete today? No, but eventually that's going to be a huge, huge, huge deal. All right, so now at this point, it's a problem from today. So, what is my next step? Like, I give you this on a piece of paper. What's your next step of what we just did? Draw a graph. Where's my line going to be? On the left side because it is negative. Now I have to decide which way I shade. And what tells me which way I shade? The direction, the less than. So now, what is my, so for a Z of negative 2.46, what does the yellow sheet tell me is my area?
0.0061.
What do I do with it because it says shade to the left? Now, There are problems that'll ask for a percent. Can I change that to a percent? That's what percent? 0.69. So there is a 0.69 chance of randomly selecting a first year teacher and their starting salary being below $20,000. That's the context of what's going on. Now, I'm not going to do it right now, but if we now did A, if it were switched and I did B first then A, would I need to go in and redo my Z for 20,000 for the exact same problem? Like I already know what it is, right? So you would just have to find it for 30,000 and then put it together. So let's start at a different problem. Let's start at, let's go with 8B. So number 8, let's read through it together. The average daily jail population in the United States is 618,319. What should stand out to you in that first sentence?
A lot of people.
What else? What word? Average. So you should do what on your paper?
Circle the number of X bar.
Circle number and put that's X bar. Our whole class deals with giant word problems. If you can get in the habit of writing while you read, it will save you a lot of time because otherwise people will read it first and then go back and reread it and find pieces. Why? So just mark as you read. If distribution is normal and the standard deviation is 50,200, so just out of that part, what do I need to mark? So mark that 50,200 is my what? S. And you said what else?
Mark that it's normal.
Mark that it told me that it's normal. And this is the other part that I always like. Some people always, I always have somebody who's like, I can't tell which one's the mean or which one's the whatever. Whatever one it asks you to find the probability about is your value, your individual value. So find the probability that on a randomly selected day, the jail population is, and we're going to go B, between 50,000 and 600, 500,000, 600,000. So let's write that right now. P parentheses what? How do I write between?
500,000.
We're talking about right now in terms of what? And it is? Okay. Stop with me for 2 seconds because somebody's going to ask this question and some people aren't even going to notice. Some people are going to say, ask what question here? This is right for between, but what could happen here?
It could be greater. They put
Or equal to. We're getting to the point where it's an area, right? So if I have any line on a curve, if I say equal to, I'm saying what is the area of this line? How much did I shade? If you drew a line, did you shade anything? So our class in terms of this, less than and less than or equal to mean the same thing because you can't have an area of a line because you have to shade somewhere. And so some of you are going to be like, I would have never noticed that. But somebody's going to ask that question and that's the justification why. But these versus less than or equal to don't really make a difference to us. All right, now what do I do from here? Change it to Z's. So I'm going to do 2 separate ones. So I'm going to do my Z over here. I might just do like a Z5 or something. So this one I'm going to do with 500,000. So 500,000 minus what?
618.
Okay, so, come on, man. 500,000 minus, you said 618 what? divided by
50,000.
and I'm gonna separately do the same thing over here for my 600,000. Well, before I ever do this, again, catching so many of your mistakes, what kind of answer am I going to get over here? What kind of answer am I going to get over here? Why do I know they're both negative? Both of them are less than the mean. What do I get with this one?
Negative 2.36.
I don't want anybody to get confused there. Those are separated. I bet you negative 2.36 around. What do I get for my second one?
Negative 0.36.
So what's my next step on my paper? Rewrite it in terms of z. So now I'm saying, instead of x, I'm switching that to z. I leave my inequality symbols the exact same way. Now I converted this x to a z, which is negative 2.36. I converted this x to a z, which is negative 0.36. And now it's a problem from today. And again, I'm continuing on like everybody knows what's going on. Stop me if I need to. So now we do what? Draw the graph. I always draw my reference line of 0. Now, how many vertical lines am I going to have other than 0? 2. Where are they? On the left, because they're both negative. Which one is the one farther to the left?
-2.
How much of this graph have I shaded?
Less than half.
Less than half, so my answer better be less than 0.5. When my z is negative 2.36,
The area is 0.0091.
when my z is negative 0.36, my area is
0.35. No. Yeah. 0.3594.
it's between, so I'm doing what with those? Which gives me
0.353.
503, right?
Yeah.
There we go. So if I randomly selected a day in the year, there's a little bit over a 35% chance that there were between 500,000 and 600,000 people in jail that day. I'm hoping you're starting to see, like, I am very specific about how I label and how I write things every single time. This can get really ugly if you don't label things well or, like, organize it well. It's just going to look like a bunch of blob, and then you're going to do something and come back to it and be like, I don't remember which one was my z and which was my area. That's why I always do these to 4, these to 2. Again, up here, these numbers I always write to 2 decimals so that I'm not going to get myself mixed up between areas and z's and that kind of thing. Any questions at all so far with where we are right now? let's do one. 18B. Do 18B. I want to feel better that y'all know that you don't before I keep going.